Hello and welcome back to the third video where I'm now narrowing down my deck. You'll notice that I've in the end gone with the green, red, black build. I have laid out here 23 cards. I did have to slim this down a bit, and the cards that I decided not to play in the build, although they were strong cards, were the 4 gatekeepers. That was 2 in red, 2 in black, because I felt that the need to try and trigger abilities on here, because there's conditional abilities to do with gates being in play, wasn't worth me trying to do that by putting in gates which could only generate one colour of mana that was relevant to my deck. So I got green white, so they're green, green blue, so again only green, blue black, only black there, and white blue, so only black there. So I didn't feel that it warranted doing that. So that was the first thing. So those cards weren't really necessarily they're not playable, but they weren't appropriate in terms of achieving what I thought I'd be able to achieve. And when you sort of consider the probabilities of that happening with those cards. The other thing that I had to sort of put to one side was this Drowning Filth. There is some sort of graveyard synergy here when this may be useful, but I felt that the fact that I've got to put the top 4 cards of my library into the graveyard, not knowing what was going in, and the fact that the -1/-1 ability on the target creature was based on the number of land that was in that I discarded, I didn't really think the benefits were worth it. Now, saying that, if there were creatures in there, because of the nature of some of the cards I've chosen, because of the scavenge ability on one of these cards, and I'm running more blast, that might help, but I just felt maybe it was too random again. So this is what I've ended up with. I've got a package here of 1-drop, my brain's gone blank, sorry, 1-drop pump spells. So I've got Weapon Surge, I've got a piece of equipment, Skyblinder staff, and Burst of Strength. Got a couple of 1-drop creatures. In the case of the Centaur's Healer, I can sack that for 2 and a green and it will generate a 3/3. Got a Spire Tracer, which can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach, and it's a 1/1. I've got a Zertar Druid in the 2-drop spot. It's 2 of those. They generate green mana when you tap them, but also they do 1 damage to each opponent when you tap them for mana. Got a Mana Bloom that's going to help me fix for mana because I don't have any guild gates for this colour combination. Druid's Deliverance is going to prevent combat damage. As an aside, it also will populate, but it's not really in the deck for that, although it will populate that centaur creature. But again, it's the probability of that happens pretty low, so it's there purely for like preventing combat damage. I've got a creature here, Varol's, the legendary creature, the Star Striped, which has Scavenge on it, and each creature card in your graveyard has Scavenge with that in play. I've got a flying 1/2 for 3 with Unleash on it, so I can put a counter on it, and 1+1/+1 counter, but it can't block as long as it has that counter on it, so it'll pump it, but there's a downside. Got Putrefy, destroy target artifact or creature, and it can't be regenerated. Got Rumble Belt Maca, which is, we're now starting my 4-drop. It's got Blood Rush on it, so I can discard it for 1 red, and I can give a target attacking creature +3/+3. This Carnage Gladiator, interesting ability: whenever a creature blocks, that creature controller loses 1 life. Also has Regenerate on it. Chorus of Might is a pump spell, but a target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control, and it gains trample. Adaptive Snapjaw, not really there for the evolve, purely there for being a 6/2, but the evolve will trigger. But because there's only 1 evolved creature, I don't know how effective that's going to be in terms of me even getting it into play. This is the snap jaw to actually be triggered in the first place. Master of Cruelties, first strike, death touch, only attacks alone, but when it makes contact with the player, their life total becomes 1. Zerthar Ancient, another sort of ability to generate extra mana. It doesn't really fix for mana, but whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana to his or her mana pool of any type that land produced. Now, of course, that means any player, so that's also your opponent. That would benefit. But it is a 7/5 for 3 colourless red-green. And I may put that to good use in combination with some of the other cards if I happen to get that into the graveyard. I've got Down and Dirty, which allows me, I can make my opponent discard 2 cards, but I can also cast it on myself if for some reason I want some creatures to end up in the graveyard, so I can scavenge them. I've got them in my hand, and I can also use it to return a target creature that maybe I don't want in the graveyard. Got 2 Maze Abominations. They've got Death Touch on them, and they give multicoloured creatures I control Death Touch. And then I've got a Morgue Burst. So this will allow me to return a target creature from my graveyard to my hand, but also deals damage to the target creature or player equal to the power of the card returned that way. If I'm doing that for a high-powered card that maybe I've discarded, that's a great way of doing quite a bit of damage to an opponent. Now, I've totaled up the colour symbols on here to get an idea of the of what mana base I need, and there is actually 13 green symbols, 9 red, 10 black. So it's a very quick way of working out what colour base you need. So in total I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 cards. So I've got 23. That gives me 17 I'm going to have as my mana base. One of those is going to be the Transguild Promenade, because it's going to help me generate mana of any colour, although I have to pay 1 colourless or sacrifice it when it enters the battlefield. Also enters the battlefield tapped. So that leaves me with 16. So really what I need to do is break those proportions down. So 13, 9 and 10, if I'm looking to sort of divide those proportions into 16, well, what I could do is look at that and go, if I'm doing like 3s into 16, well, if it was 3s into 15, that would be 5 of each, and I could say, well, the green, I need slightly more mana, although I do have fixing as well, so I could do 6 green, 5 red and 5 in the black. So that's very roughly how I would do that. So again, for my mana base, I would try 6, 5 and 5. So that's 6 green, 5 red and 5 black. But equally, because I've got this extra ability to generate green mana here in Zartar Druid, what I might elect to do is keep the green at 5 and maybe raise the black up slightly, because my original proportions were 13, 9 and 10. Okay, so that concludes it for my little set of videos about sealed deck building using the Dragon's Maze, whatever you call it, pre-release pack, I suppose is what it was. I hope you've enjoyed these videos. Thanks for watching.